Hello, this is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING here in Seattle. I'm holding up my two books that I published. Kringonian Pizzazz is my poetry book, and Art, Identity, and the Sacred is my visual art book. These are just two examples of my own independent art that I've done and published myself. I did a public access TV show in Seattle for 15 years called Goddess KRING that I produced in my apartment with a video camera and a light. And okay, I need to turn this sound off. Okay. And then my smartphone has art. This is my art printed on here. I do a lot of different art. I'm going to go. These days, everyone is so busy. I'm going to mute this so it doesn't keep beeping at me. So Goddess KRING, Shannon Kringen. I just got back from camping for a couple days on the Washington coast, Rialto Beach, the Quinault Rainforest, and we have friends that live off grid on a campsite. So I wanted to do a video about the reality of I don't want to put myself down as an artist, but I also don't want to pretend like I am more perfect and grandiose than I actually am. I struggle with autism in terms of being a very chaotic person. Let's just say that I don't buy into mainstream labels, but I have been officially assessed by a psychologist for being on the autism spectrum. And I realize that I need to give myself credit for what I've achieved in my life. I'm 55 years old and born in San Diego in 1968, and I want to make a documentary film about my Goddess KRING public access television show. I was recently interviewed by Seattle Magazine. The article is called The Performance Art of Goddess KRING. I actually have it next to me so I can prove that I'm not just, talking hype. The Seattle Magazine from, what is this, March, April 2024. I'm in here towards the end. Wonderful journalist Brad Holden interviewed me. The performance art of Goddess KRING, and then there's a photo of me in my art car and a bodysuit I had my art printed onto a bodysuit, and I spent 3 years gluing rhinestones onto my Honda Fit, very intricately well done. So this is something I've accomplished. And I think sometimes when I say this, people think that I'm some kind of narcissist that's bragging, but I'm just talking about, like, the reality is I'm in this magazine. The reality is I produced and published my own poetry book with 50 original poems in it. And this is a beautiful multimedia art book that I created about how my art is my spiritual practice. I'm not a religious person in a traditional sense, but I'm a very spiritual person in terms of I think that nature is God and God is nature, and it's all the same to me. So I'm into the non-duality, and I need to give myself credit for what I've created because I've been officially assessed by a psychologist because I'm 55 and I've never been married and I've never had kids, which is unusual in itself. I've always wanted to be a famous artist. All I've ever wanted my entire life is to be a famous artistic person. So I say, even wrote a poem about autism versus artistic, the artistic, or I'm also dyslexic. So I say things backwards. I say, would you like me to make a long story short or a short story long? Because I tend to say it like, let's do a long story short. See, I almost said it backwards in a double entendre kind of a way. So my life has been total chaos. Like, I am so grateful. I have a nice landlord and an apartment. I have my art car. I'm dog walking, pet sitting, art modeling, standardized patient. I've had many different boyfriends. Right now, I have one guy that I used to date for the last 10 years, and he's now my good friend. And then I have one guy that's my official boyfriend that I met 2 years ago. And I'm creating music with Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records, and I'm also dating Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records. But I don't like to talk a lot about my personal love life. I've had many different boyfriends. I've lived in many different apartments. I've never been married. I've never had kids. I don't have any brothers or sisters. I'm an only child. When I hear music, I see shapes, which is, a good thing mostly. I don't mean I hallucinate. I mean, just in my own mind, I associate music with shapes. Not that I walk down the street when I hear music and I'm distracted by shapes that I see. I know that it's in my head, but I associate music with shapes, and I write poetry. And some people think that I should pick one thing and stick to it. So I don't want to give up on making this documentary film. I would honestly rather make a crappy documentary film than no documentary film at all. But the better option is you can make a really good documentary film or a really crappy documentary film, or you can talk about making a film and then never actually do it. I want to be somebody who actually follows through. So when I think about what I've done in my life, would anybody ever let me do a public access okay. If I tried to do my Goddess KRING show on network TV, that would not have worked. So in other words, I'm kind of an outsider artist. I do my own thing. So instead of allowing somebody to reject me because I'm an eccentric misfit, I realized my entire life, like I grew up in San Diego. My parents divorced when I was 4 or 5. Can't remember which. I think it was 4. Um, and my mom and dad used me, I was a messenger between my parents, and I knew why my mom didn't like my dad and my dad didn't like my mom. And I was like, oh my God, I love you both. I don't want to be pulled, apart in two directions. My dad wanted joint custody, but my mom wouldn't give it to him. And so he didn't want to take her to court because he knew he would probably lose, because women always get the kid unless they're really bad. So long story short, I had a rough childhood in some ways. But if I ever write a memoir, I'm going to call it Checkerboard Childhood in the Wild Livelihood. Say, so I've written a bunch of songs. A bunch of my poems are songs on the Interactive Jack website called Kring Flowers. So this is my life. Like, it's total chaos. Like, I have an apartment and a nice landlord, and I have a calendar where I write everything down because my schedule is so bizarre, I could never remember it. I just got back from 2 days at the ocean. Our friends of ours run a off-the-grid campsite near the Lake Quinault rainforest, and we went to Rialto Beach, and we went to Ruby Beach and Lake Quinault, and we went to the rainforest and the old growth forest. We did all of that. That's really great. I publish my own work, and I got into art modeling. The reason why I'm good at art modeling is because I'm a very chaotic person, and yet I'm a good art model. I show up on time. I can sit there and sit still. I'm comfortable not wearing any clothing and posing in front of artists who draw and paint. Um, I'm better at doing that and pet sitting and dog walking than I am at doing any kind of normal job. I could never work in an office. Some people think that I'm intentionally choosing a non-traditional, like as if 9 to 5 is an option for me. 9 to 5 office job, administrative job is not even an option for me. I have no ability to conform to being a straight-laced business person that dresses up and conforms to whatever the rules are. I need to do my own thing. So I've done my own TV show. I've done my own poetry book. I self-publish. I have over 900 videos on my YouTube channel. I have 7,000 or 5, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 or 7,000 photos on my Flickr that have been published. So I feel like I have a lot of anxiety right now. I'm all over the map. Like, I'm all over the map. Um, I'm needing to clean and organize my apartment. As you can see, there's lots of art supplies behind me and my keyboard. I have a guitar over there and a harmonica and a keyboard and some flowers and some lamps and sometimes this is my art model studio. I'm modeling for the great photographer in Seattle called John Cornicello. We have Interactive Jack Records is producing Goddess KRING. I'm just trying to contact the Northwest Film Forum to try to network and apply for a grant to make a documentary film. I want to make a documentary film about the Goddess KRING public access TV show. I produced myself for 15 years. Every week I have all of the original VHS and DVD tapes that I used to make with an old-fashioned video camera in the 90s, and my friend and I found a way to digitize VHS tapes into digital files. I took a bunch of photos and videos on my trip at the ocean. So I just feel like I'm scattered all over. Like I'm making music with Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records. We're trying to get it played on KEXP radio. Our music is very professional. I don't make it sound, like I don't look real professional, do I? Like I self-published this book. I'm in the Seattle magazine as Goddess KRING. I self-published this. I'm inspired by the fantasy A Gets a Mattress independent filmmakers and the success that they are having. Their film is a little cheesy and a little campy, and yet it's well done and people are responding well to it. And they're making another film called Crystal Ball. And I'm friends with those people, but they're busy. They're not wanting to help me do the Goddess KRING film because they're focused on their own thing, and I haven't really asked them that officially. See, I don't even know if I should be saying this into the camera. I'm just saying that I'm an independent outsider artist, I guess. I'm on the autism spectrum. Apparently, I have poor working memory. My executive function is challenging in some ways, or challenged, whatever the term is. I'm not meaning to misspeak when I say this. I tend to be repetitive, 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 repetitive. And now I realize why. The reason why I'm partly repetitive on my monologues, because I was known on my public access TV show for doing these like freak out into the camera monologues. And for 28 minutes every week, I did a show. I did improv monologue show. I was also interviewed recently on a podcast called Something Rather Than Nothing, and it's going to be published sometime near Labor Day in September 2024. So there's the podcast I was on, I interviewed in Seattle Magazine. I want to make a documentary film. I want to maintain my freedom and my creativity. We have music out. We wrote many different songs. I'll see if I can find the title. I recently published something about the music. Let's see, my friend in Seattle, Dave Flowers, has his own record label called, well, he runs his own record label called Interactive Jack Records. We turn my poetry into original pop songs. We are happy to share them with family, friends, and the general public, especially are thrilled to have songs shared on the radio. We own the copyright, so feel free to air. So if you know anybody that has an independent radio station and they're allowed to play independent music, I own the copyright. Me and Dave Flowers and Interactive Jack Records own the copyright to our own original music that we created ourselves. We sometimes have guest drummers and guest guitarists on our music, but it's Dave and I doing it. We are very talented people, and there's a list of platforms. Our music is available. It's called KRING Flowers Music LP, 11 original songs, music and mixing by Dave Flowers, Interactive Jack Records, Seattle, vocals and lyrics by Shannon Kringen and me, Goddess KRING. So our own original music, Interactive Jack Records, Bandcamp, YouTube Music, Spotify Music, Apple Music, Amazon Music Player, Amazon Music, Pandora Music, Deezer Music, iHeartRadio Music, and if you want to find the lyrics, they are on Boomplay. The names of our songs are Only Child, Monkey Wrench, Cancel Culture Vultures, Jazz Mint, Banana Split, UFO Camera, New Year's Revolution, Dumpster Diving Boots, The Story of Goddess KRING, Ripple Effect, which is a spoken word poem, and Slow Down, a duet with my father, Gus Kringen, a song that he wrote, a folk song that he wrote. 11 tracks, total playtime, 46 minutes and 33 seconds. So that is the Interactive Jack Records project that I've got going, and my poetry book and my art book. I want to do a second book called KRING Flowers Songbook, or KRING Flowers Music Lyric Songbook. Excuse me while I sneeze. So I am Goddess KRING and I'm feeling chaotic, and I just wanted to document the mood I'm in. It is now August 22nd, 2024. I feel disoriented when I first come back from a trip. I'm readjusting to my apartment. I'm going to be starting a pet sit soon. I'm taking care of a dog and a cat that live together. I take care of various dogs and cats, sometimes in my home, but mostly in other people's homes. And I love animals. I'm also a art model for many different art schools around Seattle, and I work with medical students as a standardized patient, for physical exams from head to toe, breast exams, gyne exams, eye, ears, nose, throat, physical exam. I pretend to be a patient, so I'm sort of hired as an actor. So I'm kind of a professional actor, you could say, for medical students, and I get paid for that. That's one of my jobs. It's a freelance job. I guess I'm considered a independent contractor or part-time temporary employee, even though I've been working for some of these places for over 20 years. So you could say that my life sounds, and some people think that I'm freely choosing to do this alternative lifestyle. Maybe I am, but for me, it doesn't feel like a normal full-time job would even be an option for me because I'm just kind of a chaotic, intuitive, improvisational person. So I'm really grateful that I was interviewed for the podcast, Something Rather Than Nothing. I'm really grateful I was interviewed about my art car in the Everett Herald a few months ago and the Seattle Magazine a few months ago. And I've self-published and I want to continue self-publishing. So I'm thinking that I was going to try to apply for a grant to make a documentary film or find a crew to help me do a film, but maybe I'm going to have to just do my documentary film independently on my own. I have, I need to learn more about microphones, but I do have some cameras, access to some cameras, video cameras and still cameras. And I'm a good photographer. I'm good at composing shots. I'm good at composing video shots. I did my public access TV show in my apartment. I would direct myself. I could see myself on the screen. I had a light, a flattering light on top with a black backdrop behind me. I was too shy to do my show at the public access TV studio, so I did it at home by myself. I was the writer, director, producer, actor. So I think that I can be the writer, producer, actor, key grip, best boy for my documentary film, The Story of Goddess KRING. We need to start making music videos. So I want to publish more poetry books. I want to make more music with Interactive Jack Records and Dave Flowers, Superflower. I want to start, did I already say music videos, publish books. I want to be as famous as possible. And I know that sounds kind of embarrassing to say out loud. Maybe it's because I'm autistic. I don't know. But I just say what I really think instead of trying to be hip and cool. I say what I really want, which is not to be famous just for the sake of being famous, but the idea is to create something beautiful and inspire other people with my creativity, with my inspirational, like my art car is a black Honda Fit that I've had for 3 years. I've been gluing rhinestones all over it. It's acrylic gemstones that are very sparkly. The wheels are metallic green, very beautiful, and it's just really intricately designed. I drove all the way to Houston and back for the art car parade and festival in Houston, Texas. They reimbursed us for gas and found us a place to stay, so it was very affordable to do that, although it took a lot of effort to drive from Seattle to Houston and back. That was 4,600 miles, and me and my two friends did this. Dave Flowers and his son Tiger. We drove together and took a road trip together and celebrated with all the other art cars. That was an amazing experience. I've been in art car shows and parades. Um, so I want to continue working, and I'm just doing this video monologue to say, hey, does anybody out there, hey, you, if you're a fan of Goddess KRING, or if you want to support an autistic artist, not to say that I'm a victim, but I do kind of have a challenging time. I'm very sensitive to sound and my senses. I get overwhelmed and easily freaked out, and yet I'm really brave in other ways. I'm sort of a I wrote a song called Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking. So I kind of feel like I'm a walking contradiction. I'm kind of introvert, extrovert. I'm kind of really brave and yet really timid. I'm kind of shy and yet not shy at all. I'm comfortable with no clothes on, being an art model. I'm comfortable performing in front of thousands of people. I'm comfortable, doing microphone and video camera things. I'm very shy. If I go to a dinner party, I'll probably be very shy. And my face will turn red and it will be hard to talk to people, but I'm working on my social skills, but I get overwhelmed. And yet I have lots of creative ideas and lots of, I think, artistic talent mixed with my mm, um, challenge with certain social things and getting irritated and irritable when I'm around too much loud noise and too much sensory overload. And I have a very intuitive sense of things. I feel misunderstood a lot of the time. I feel like I'm really intelligent, but it doesn't always come across how intelligent I am because I sound so repetitive and chaotic because I kind of am competitive and chaotic. I kind of feel like I'm still like a 9-year-old or an 11-year-old in some level, and yet I'm 55 years old. Again, never got married, never had kids, don't have any brothers or sisters. My purpose on this earth is to make my art and learn and grow and heal. That's all. I think that make art, learn, grow, and heal. And I love to make a living in a freelance, I'm a full-time freelance person. I haven't had a normal job since 1997. I worked at Kinko's. I was the cashier at Kinko's. I used to dance at the Lusty Lady. These are the two of the most normal jobs I've had recently. But I got into art modeling in 1992. So my schedule is very random. I'm very grateful that I have such freedom, but at the same time, I'm constantly hustling for gigs because I don't have a regular schedule. So, pet sitting, dog walking, art modeling, standardized patient. I've done focus groups. Um, I have my poetry book. I'm in the Seattle Magazine, very proud of that. And I published my own book, Art, Identity, and the Sacred. And I don't really make a living with my art, although maybe I could. Maybe I am an artist that could make a living from their art. I also have a Patreon, but that doesn't really earn me very much money so far. And then another website where I can share my full on natural self. And I have that as well, a subscription only website. But I mostly make a living in different ways. And I do my art mostly for free. And I constantly update my website. I constantly share with people. I love to drive my art car around and cheer people up and make them smile. And I have a QR code with my website that I put on my dashboard in my car, the Shannon Kringen QR code. And then I have like the poetry and the music and just a link to all my art. I would like to just kind of relax though and not worry so much about external results of what I'm doing, but I'm internally wanting to make the best multimedia art that I can and share it. So I do music, poetry, modeling, painting, photography, video. I do all of that and I love taking care of animals. So that's me in a nutshell. Yeah. So I have some grief. I went to Rialto Beach and I was thinking about with my good friend that I've known for 10 years that I used to date, and he's not on social media and he doesn't want me to mention his name, publicly because he's a very private person. And although he's in a rock and roll cover band called the Mod Men, I could say that that's his public persona, but he's a private person, so I'm not going to say a lot about him, but I've known him for 10 years and we went camping and I used to date him and I camped with two other boyfriends, like one in 2003 and one in 2006. And I was thinking about that and having some grief about that because I really loved those two other boyfriends, but it didn't work out with them long term. But I guess nothing really on this earth is very stable. And I've never really had like long-term stable type relationships. I've always felt safer. I'm an only child, so I wrote a song called I'm an Only Child. I'm a little bit wild. I'm a left-handed green-eyed Nordic goddess. I promise I will make you smile. I got the Kringenstein style. Look it up. It's a fun song called Only Child featuring drummer John Gilmore. Um, so I'm really excited about the music I'm creating with Dave Flowers at Interactive Jack Records. But I have some grief about my previous love life relationships. And I am dating somebody right now and I'm really grateful. But nothing ever really feels stable to me, although I guess it is more stable than anything else I've ever had. And I do have my good friend that I used to date, and he said he won't abandon me as a friend, and so we're still good friends. So I guess I need to count my blessings and think that I'm very, very lucky that I can handle my problems, my OCD and my ADHD, my autism, my OCD, not to label myself too much, but let's just say that I feel misunderstood, like I come off as I don't know if people think I'm better or worse off than I really am, but not that it matters. And why am I so self-conscious anyway? It's hard for me to just share my art. I tend to want to talk about and defend my right to do my art. So it's like, oh my gosh. So I just want to make sure that I follow through on making a documentary film. It could be that instead of trying to find some kind of fancy way of making a documentary film with professional filmmakers or something, Maybe I should just do it the Goddess Kring way, which is to do my own self-produced. And Dave Flowers can score the movie. Dave Flowers is a very good musician who knows how to make instrumental music for movies as well as vocal. Him and I are doing, I'm singing and doing spoken word on our Goddess Kring record. So we have the ability to create a great musical score for our documentary film. And now we just have to learn how to be more cinematic with our cameras and learn more about microphones. I'm using this microphone right now. What is it called? A Yeti? This is my Yeti microphone that I'm using with my webcam here on my desktop. But I do have access to other kinds of video cameras and still cameras and high quality, cameras, and learn more about how to hook in microphones to these. Maybe thinking about interviewing Goddess Kring fans and somehow splicing that into the documentary, trying to figure out what kind of story do I want to tell. The documentary film, the Goddess Kring documentary film would maybe open with me driving in Seattle in my art car, and then maybe a camera angle from above, one of those pedestrian, maybe on Aurora, those pedestrian overpasses on Aurora, my art car, me driving around to my song. This is the story of Goddess Kring. If you don't know her story, listen in. Um, let's see. Do I have it in this book? I think I have the lyrics right here. The story of Goddess Kring. Yeah, I'll read it. This is from Kringonian Pizzazz, Kring Speak. This is the story of Goddess Kring. If you don't know the story, listen in. Her spaceship's covered in opals and pearls. She drove it here from another world. She helps new artists develop their skills, but they won't be drawing daffodils, 'cause she's the goddess. Her name is Kring. Her spaceship's covered in bling. Bling. I'm Shannon from Tecolote Canyon, and I'd be planning shenanigans, imaginings, amplify chameleon, getting her dreams on, body paint, dance, TV, romance. Authentic eruption of my soul, molten orange liquid glow. And then it goes on. This is the story of Goddess Kring. If you don't know her story, listen in. Her spaceship's covered in opals and pearls. She drove it here from another world. She helps new artists develop their skills, but they won't be drawing daffodils. Bada boo, bada bing. Her name is Kring. Her favorite color is green. Intimacy chasing me, feel like it's erasing me. Into me you see. Clear the mirror, dear, let go of fear. Self-abandonment got me stranded. Incast the outcast. Fantastic, iconoclastic. Clap, 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 out of the trap. Can of worms, my own terms. This is the story of Goddess Kring. If you don't know her story, listen in. Her spaceship's covered in opals and pearls. She drove it here from another world. She helps new artists develop their skills, but they won't be drawing daffodils, 'cause she's the goddess. Her name is Kring. Her spaceship's covered in bling. Goddess Kring is going to teach you things, teach you things. Goddess Kring is going to teach you things. And then I say, bless the fertile tide, turtles whirling by, fertile eyes or fertilizer, fertile eyes, wise beyond thighs, guys. Room for late bloomers, magnifying power with flowers. Liberate from cage, it's all the rage at this stage. In wine divine, tides glide, 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 melding minds divine, onward, Kringonian pizzazz. So that's basically, and then I say Nanas Elikin Negnurk, which is my name backwards. Nanas Elikin Negnurk. Kringen backwards is Negnurk. So Goddess Kring, so that's like, so the documentary, the Goddess Kring documentary film might open with me driving in my art car to the story of Goddess Kring, and then I will have a flashback. So I'll start with whatever year it is now when we make the film, 2024 right now. And then I'll have a flashback about why I started my show, because my love life was so miserable and I was shy and I felt like an underdog and I wanted to be more like the Wizard of Oz, but I felt like a little scared person behind the curtain, and I wanted to learn how to have my own personal power like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, no place like home, click your heels 3 times. So the whole Goddess Kring persona that I created was me trying to be more of a hero and not be so scared. So that's basically me in a nutshell. So bada boo, bada bing. So catch the wind-sung spiral drive, I will say. So I want to make the documentary film, and I want to keep making music with Dave Flowers, and I want to keep writing poetry and publishing books and just keep doing my art for the rest of my life. So that's my purpose on this earth. I want to share my music and poetry and videos with as many people as possible in my art car. Um, right now, I just need to calm down and relax and know that it's okay. Like, I don't have to be perfectly organized in order to achieve my goals. It is actually a miracle that I've done as much as I have with my I fell into art modeling. I've built my career as an art model and I've published my own work. Instead of trying to have a fancy schmancy art gallery represent me, I instead have done my own thing. Maybe if I tried a little harder, I could make a living as an artist in a more mainstream way. I really don't know. I think I'm one of these outsider artists, though, like my favorite artist, Hunter Wasser, who basically dropped out of art school. I went to graphic design school and I graduated from that program. But I have always wanted to do my own multimedia thing instead of a traditional painting or drawing or sculpture or photography or even acting or singing or dancing. I've always wanted to mix everything in my own way and self-publish and do my own independent thing. So, my public access TV show, my painting, my photography, my idea about my documentary film is my own style. So I don't know if I can really jump through hoops and fit into the mainstream culture at all. And I want freedom. So I guess freedom and embracing grace, moonshone face, moonlight on snow, Dylan-esque romantic glow. That's kind of my style. So catch the windsong spiral drive, crack the code left and right node. So I need to just make it up as I go and do my own thing. So I'm open to having my music put on the radio. I'm open to people interviewing me for their podcasts. I'm open to more independent, random art projects, music, theater, acting, singing, dancing, performing, all of it, all that jazz. I want to do another book called, the next book will be, this is Kringonian Pizzazz. I am going to write a memoir book about my life, maybe called Checkerboard Childhood in the Wild Lively Wood, something like that, about how my childhood in San Diego was extremely chaotic and stressful. And I was kind of neglected by my parents. And yet my parents are both really sensitive, intelligent, beautiful people. My dad taught me about comedy and music and being athletic. And my mom taught me about Eastern philosophy and being a visual artist. And they're both sensitive and they love animals and they're very interesting, intelligent people, and, so my childhood was like a checkerboard of good and bad, dark and light, being back and forth between both my parents was very, stressful for me, moving around a lot of marriages and divorces, a lot of chaos, a lot of, dysfunctionalness, and me not really knowing how to build my self-esteem, and yet at the same time, my parents both taught me, gave me a lot of freedom and taught me a lot of they encouraged me in some ways to do my art and be creative and have freedom. And so they both kind of encouraged me to do whatever I wanted. And at the same time, I didn't get enough guidance or mirroring from them in a way to build my self esteem. So it was kind of like a checkerboard childhood. So I'd like to write a book called Checkerboard Childhood, or so that's the working title, a memoir about my unusual life, and taking the road less traveled and all that jazz. So there that is, Kringonian Pizzazz. And make a documentary film, do another book called Kring Flowers. So I have two book ideas. I want to do a memoir called Checkerboard Childhood, and I also want to do a second book called, this is my poetry book, but I also want to do a book called Kring Flowers Lyric Songbook, Lyric Book or something. Kring, because it's not a music, it's not musical score book, it's not sheet music. It'll be um lyrics, my poems as song lyrics. So I've always wanted to be a musician, and ever since I fell in love with Tom Petty music when I was 11 years old and Tori Amos music when I was 20 something, Tom Petty and Tori Amos are my favorite songwriters, two of my favorite songwriters. Um, my first person I wanted to be like was Shirley Temple when I was 3 years old. I wanted to like be like Shirley Temple and like sing and dance and perform and be appreciated in that way. And be playful and entertain people or something. So Kringonian Pizzazz. So more books on the way, the documentary film about Goddess KRING public access TV, open with the current me driving around in my art car, and then flashback to why I started doing my show, which is a positive and negative reason, me feeling um, me feeling self-destructive and like I had a very low self-esteem and wanting to break free and become my own hero and rescue myself from my own problems, my own personal psychological issues, my lack of self-confidence, mixed with my extreme desire to connect with an audience, to connect with community, to have the audience mirror back to me about myself, positive or negative, to learn and grow and heal and become an authentic, powerful human. So, and inspire other people to do whatever they love. That's what I want to do. So, thanks for listening. This is Goddess Kring. Bye for now. See you next time. So, check out my music and poetry and my visual art. Just Google Shannon Kring and Goddess Kring and you'll find all my links. Bye for now. Thanks, everybody, for your support.